This video is about phones, mobile phones. The phones, like this one, that you take with you. Not landline phones that are in the house, that stay in the house, but phones that you go out with, that you can take with you anywhere, and that work. You can call people or do anything else with the phone anywhere. Specifically, this video is about why I have what's called a dumb phone. So I do have a smartphone. This is a smartphone, but that is my old smartphone. I don't use it as a phone. My SIM card isn't in the smartphone, it's in this dumb phone. This is actually a normal phone, as phones were 13, 14 years ago now. I think smartphones started to come out around 2010. And before then, before 2010, a phone like this was normal. Most people had phones like this. This is a Nokia, which was one of the biggest brands. So this would have been a pretty normal phone for a lot of people. This actually isn't an old phone. It wasn't made back in 2010 or earlier. So it's an old style phone, a simple phone that can't do much. It's not a smartphone, but it was made maybe, I think, 2017, so only 6 years ago, or released around 2017. So even though we have smartphones now, and nearly everyone has a smartphone, there are still some people that buy dumb phones or simple phones. And this video is about why. And because I'm one of the people that has a dumb phone, I thought I can give you my reasons why I switched from a smartphone to a dumb phone. I think the main reason most people will give you, well, first, there's a big difference with age. A lot of older people, if they still use dumb phones and they haven't switched to using a smartphone, it's very possible that it's because of their age, because they don't know how to use a smartphone, or they're a bit scared, or they find it confusing. And so they stayed with a phone that they already had before. And that's a difference because lots of younger people who use dumb phones probably switched back. They were using a smartphone for a while, and for certain reasons they switched back to using a dumb phone, like me. So why? Why switch back to a phone that can't do much from a phone that can do anything? I think the biggest reason that most people will give is distraction. That with a smartphone, there's too many distractions. There's too many things you can do on it. And that's a problem if there's so many things to do in one place or with one device, and you need to do one thing, but you could also do this other thing. It's hard to focus on the one thing you need to do. It's very easy to get distracted. Whereas if I need to call someone or to text someone a message that's important, with this phone, I can't get distracted because I can browse the internet or use one of hundreds of apps that you could use on a smartphone. So this can only do a few things, and when I need to do those few things, like call or text someone, I grab this, I do it, there's no chance of being distracted. So this separation of tasks is a big part of it, and it's related to distraction. Because the more you separate where and when you can do something from where and when you do other things, the less likely you are to get them mixed up, or to be doing one thing when you wanted to be doing another thing, or you said to yourself you'd be doing another thing. You don't have to stop using a smartphone to get this benefit. You can be disciplined and decide, for example, to uninstall all the applications from your smartphone that are distracting. So to turn your smartphone back into something simpler that can only call or text, but still has the possibility to do some things that are quite useful, like use maps or text people with applications like WhatsApp or Signal, which lots of people use today, but remove distracting things like social media. So that's a possibility. But what a lot of people find is that it's hard to stick to that. You can uninstall an app, but then you can reinstall it. With this, I can't reinstall anything. There's no possibility. So it's a way of forcing myself when I don't believe that long term I can stick to what I want. Short term, it's easy to uninstall something or be disciplined enough to resist distractions, but making something physically impossible is the best way to ensure that long term it doesn't happen. So this is the best way to ensure long term I don't have something always in my pocket with me that is very tempting, that can distract me a lot. Also, I think there's a lot of evidence that psychologically we're more focused when things are separated. So even if you do have the discipline to uninstall the applications or not use them, when you say, I'm going to work, not look at social media, and you do that, you only work, the fact that you do both those things in the same environment, that environment is your phone, means that maybe, even subconsciously, part of your mind is not as fully focused on the task at hand as it could be, because you have those associations in this environment, in your phone, that there's other things you do there. Humans are very habitual. So much of what we do is not because we thought, I'm going to do that, but because something in the environment, maybe we didn't consciously notice it, but something triggered us to do that. It's also a way of achieving this separation. You could, instead of getting a dumb phone, you could have 2 smartphones. Some people do that for their work life and their home personal life. They have a different phone for each, so that outside of work hours, when they're finished with work, they turn off the work phone, and when they're chatting with friends or whatever on their personal smartphone, they're distracted maybe, but they're only distracted with the things from their personal life. They're not getting all these reminders because of an application, for example, that they use at work. Seeing that icon of the application on the screen doesn't make them think, oh yeah, I have to do that at work. So separation of tasks, and dumb phones are a good way of achieving that. When I want to use certain applications, most of them I can get the same thing on my computer. I can go on my computer either with an actual program or on a website, and most of the time get the same results. Smartphones are more convenient because you can get them out of your pocket, do it, see it right away. You don't have to open up your computer, or maybe your computer isn't with you. You have to do it at home or at work in your office. But I think that is also a positive in some ways. You sacrifice, you give up convenience, the convenience to be able to do anything, anywhere, but it forces you to think, where's the best place and the best time to be doing something. With a smartphone, you don't have to think about that. And maybe you're able to do a lot, but maybe you're doing it inefficiently because you've never had to think about, well, this thing I do best when I'm relaxed at home, sitting at my desk on my computer. And this thing I do best with a piece of paper. But as you can see, I still have my smartphone and I'm using it right now. I'm recording the audio, my voice, for this video with the smartphone. And also, I still use it to listen to podcasts or sometimes to watch videos. As I said, there's no SIM card in there, so I can use the Wi-Fi when I'm in my house, in my apartment, but I can't use the internet if I took it out of the house, which I don't do. One concrete benefit for me has been I'm much better at time management and planning. Now, if I want to go somewhere, I have to think beforehand, do I know how to get there? Do I know the train times or the bus times? Do I know how long it's going to take to walk there? And before, I had a lot of problems with getting to places late or losing my way. And it's true that having a smartphone with maps, for example, means that you can often compensate, correct those bad habits or mistakes. If you lose your way or you don't know how to get somewhere and you only realize it when you're halfway there, you can look up a map and go, okay, here's where I go. Or here are the bus times, here are the train times. But there's a lot of times when I couldn't correct that either. And not having a smartphone forces you to plan things before doing them. And I think, for me, the improvements I've made through planning more of my life, which not having a smartphone has forced me to do, definitely outweighs the benefits, the conveniences of having a smartphone. And I think that's what it comes down to, that everything that a smartphone offers is convenience. It's not something that you can't do with other devices or with other things. Nothing on a smartphone you can do better than on a computer or with other things. It's the convenience of not really having to plan. That's what convenience means. You don't have to think through something to know when you have to do it, where you have to do it, how you have to do it. You can just do it and it'll turn out all right most of the time. You'll get kind of what you want. That's the convenience of a smartphone. And I think in life there's a place for convenience, but it also means you don't really improve. You never have to improve the way you do things or find out how to do things better or well, because you can always get away, always get an all right result. So not having a smartphone means you have to plan, you have to think things through. And I think over time, your life can improve because of that. But of course, for each person, it's very different. depending on your circumstances, the conveniences, probably very specific conveniences of a smartphone, can outweigh the benefits of not having one. And also, after not having one for a while, and you make all those improvements, you spend that time forcing yourself to have to think through everything. Maybe you've improved enough that you can have a smartphone again, and now you can enjoy the conveniences as well as your ability that you've gained to think about things more. But I think there's always a risk that you'll fall back into bad habits because there's only so much discipline you can have. And if you can do anything on a smartphone, often you will do anything to avoid having to do something else that's harder or having to plan something that's easier not to think about it. Okay, this was my first intermediate video. So please tell me in the comments below if you thought it was good, if you thought it was bad, and why. Am I talking clearly? Am I talking too fast, too slow? Am I rambling, not talking about things very clearly or understandably? Is it interesting? Is the way I talk boring? Is just the topic boring? Tell me other topics that you'd like me to talk about. Tell me anything that could improve the videos. Okay, see ya.